Hello, 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 and welcome to Updog Sports Talk. My name is Matt Miller, and Justin's trying to join me today. Um, his internet is probably the worst of all time. We actually were talking right before this, and it went out twice. So who knows if I'm going to be doing a monologue today, but we have NBA Finals talk. We have College World Series talk. It is the dead season for football, and basketball and college baseball are in full swing. Justin is joining us now. Let's see if his internet works properly through this. Justin, welcome to the show.
Yeah, we'll see how long I'm here.
Yeah. I was just going over what we were talking about. So the NBA Finals, Pacers, Thunder, and then we have College World Series talk. Like I was saying, we are in the middle of the football dead season. Nothing going on in NFL, nothing going on in college football. So we're bringing you basketball talk and college baseball talk. Justin, again, welcome. Why don't you tell our new viewers about our show?
Well, we are Updog Sports Talk, so we like to provide coverage across all parts of each sports, mostly college football and some NFL. But, when we are in the off season like this, we'll kind of sprinkle around other sports as well. But the main thing is we made this podcast out of frustration because we felt that not all teams and all sports were being covered equally. So we're here to do that.
Yeah, we're here to share UTRGV football.
Yes.
All the way up to Ohio State or Alabama or Georgia, whoever you consider number one. Texas, whoever your ranking is at number one. We go from UTRGV, who has not played a game yet in college football, all the way up. So that's kind of why we actually love this NBA Finals. Not only am I a Pacers fan, grew up watching Reggie Miller. I had some family in Indy who would take me to games sometimes. Fun time, fell in love, had the same last name as me. Made the NBA Finals and lost eventually to Kobe and Shaq. This time, they're led by an Iowa State star, Tyrese Halliburton, and Pascal Siakam, and Miles Turner, and Aaron Nembhard, and
Pretty sure it's Nebhard.
pretty sure it's Nembhard.
Okay.
It looks like, and Ben Mothrin, can't forget about him. The NBA Finals, or I'm sorry, the NBA playoffs started heating up a little bit. If I can get my slides to work properly. Does not look like I'm going to get them to work properly, so literally just going to try
Technology issues in the Updog Sports Talk headquarters today.
Literally everything worked like 5 minutes ago. Let's see if I can share this. All right, so on the Thunder side of things, they beat the Memphis Grizzlies 4-0. Straight sweep. Not really competition. They beat the defending champion Denver Nuggets 4-3. Went to Game 7. It seemed like the Thunder really kind of had it in control and then lost it for a little bit and then finally just killed it off. Then they beat the Timberwolves. Didn't really seem like there was a whole lot of competition there. the Pacers had a different route. Pacers had a harder time. So not only did they have to beat, which I don't think this shows it accurately, but they had to beat the Bucks, then they had to beat the Cavaliers, and then they had to beat the Knicks. So they had to beat two in-division rivals and their ultra rival in the New York Knicks. Pacers fairly consistent. Won 4-1 against the Bucks, 4-1 against the Cavs, 4-2 against the Knicks.
You're not connected when
Halliburton, Modern, Siakam, and Turner shutting everything down. Justin lost internet again. He's gone for a little bit. We'll get him back in a sec. The Pacers actually led the NBA in the playoffs in points per game at 117.4 to the Thunder 117.1. So Pacers, Thunder 2 and 3 in points per game. I'm sorry, Cavs were at 119, but lost. Thunder has more rebounds per game. Indy has way more assists. Both kind of have a decent amount of blocks per game.
Why is my damn connection so weak right now?
What I'm getting at is we have two really good offenses, two really good defenses. In an underrated matchup, when most of the time we're thinking of like the LeBrons, the Giannis's, the Jason Tatum's, the Steph Curry's, Kevin Durant's. We're used to them being in the finals. Only Pascal Siakam, off the top of my head, has made an NBA Finals and has won a ring. But if you look at what Pascal Siakam has done, he's been putting up some numbers. I think that they're going to have to put Chet Holmgren on Siakam. And that's a name you should recognize, Justin. Chet Holmgren.
Well, I already recognize Siakam, the New Mexico State legend.
There you go. Holmgren was able to get to kind of lock down the Joker, Nikola Jokic. He's for his build, he's been playing real well. He can hit threes in the corner, plays well on defense. They got one Jalen Smith that is absolutely amazing. They have another Jalen Smith on their roster who not quite as good, but still solid. They have a very deep bench, and they have the MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. You don't think of the Thunder like as a finals team, at least not the past handful of years. Last year they got pretty close, but they've built from within. They've flipped a bunch of picks. They flipped Paul George for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and a laundry list of picks. Used a lot of that to build their roster, and they still have a ton of draft picks currently. And then the Pacers built within as well, but they traded for young players to get here as well. So they also traded away Paul George to get Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis. And then they flipped Sabonis after a couple seasons to the Kings to get Tyrese Halliburton. And then flipped some bench players who were playing pretty well at the time and a couple picks for Pascal Siakam. Man, we got two stacked rosters built in-house. I'm looking forward to it. Um, you had pointed out off air that the Pacers are loaded with mid-major talent. They have
Yeah,
players from Akron, Belmont, Boise State, Dayton, Duquesne, New Mexico State, and Toledo. And Rick Carlisle is from a mid-major as well. University of Maine. Shout out
Black
to our
Bears.
shout out to our friends at the Mid-Major Madness on X. They represent the mid-majors very well. So shout out to you guys.
Yeah, and this is what kind of made me decide which side I'm on, which side I like here. Is I'm like, okay, I guess I'm rooting for the Pacers now because they are the team with mid-major talent. Goes to show, you can stick with the program and make it to the NBA Finals now.
Yeah, Obi Toppin did take a bit of a detour. He went to the Knicks, didn't play overly well with them, and then went to the Pacers, and now he's a solid bench guy. He kind of took over the end of that game to beat the Knicks. He wanted revenge. I'm a Pacers fan, so I'm gonna say that I want the Pacers to win, but statistics tell me that that's not going to happen. One seeds versus any lower seed. So if it's not a one seed versus one seed, the one seed will win. I think at this point they're all undefeated. Pacers looking to snap that streak. Game starts tomorrow, June 5th. I believe at 8 p.m. I'll look that up. Justin, you have any thoughts on the finals?
Yeah, I'm excited for the. I think Obi Toppin, this run here is kind of like what we should have had in the NCAA tournament in 2020. That's how I think about it. I know that's because my brain goes to college first, but man, we should have seen him in that tournament. That was still. I'm still sad to this day for him, for Dayton Flyer fans, and everyone that we did not get that. But now, at the very least, they get to see their former player star in this light, and it's going to be pretty exciting for them. Yeah, it'll be pretty good. Hopefully, a pretty good series this year.
Game 1, 8:30 on June 5th.
Man.
In Oklahoma City. A lot of people I talk to are big on the Pacers. Let me also take a look at what the spread is, because that's gonna feel like
Do
Vegas
any of these
has an
games start before 8 o'clock at night?
No.
Man,
It's,
they love their late.
they
games.
they cater to both coasts. So, 8 o'clock, 8:30 is a solid time frame. That way, you get the game done with by 11. You get people in bed on the East Coast. West Coast just getting off work by the time the game starts, so they're eating dinner and having a good time. Nope. My phone wanted to open Fanatics instead of FanDuel. FanDuel does not like me. Probably shouldn't have shared what we use because we're not sponsored by them at all. Well, Justin lost internet.
I'm just going to straight up Google it because once again, no one sponsors us.
Not
It
yet.
says that
It's acting like it's the first time I've ever logged in, so this is really annoying.
the Thunder are minus 750 to win.
No.
Oh.
420.
Oh, okay.
I'll take the Pacers at plus 330.
It says minus 9.5 though is the line for Oklahoma City
spread?
to win that one. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not the money line.
No,
That's
no,
just the
I'm saying the
spread.
money line. That was like the line for the series was Oklahoma City, that minus 420, I think you said, and then the line for the game is minus 9.5. It looks like for this specific game.
Again, the 420 is the money line. The spread is the 9.5.
Oh, okay, okay. Now I get it. Okay. So
So
wait, maybe the 750 I did see was right. That was just a series.
we're not like big degenerate gamblers, we gamble a little bit. The 9.5 on the spread is the terms of points, the difference in points. So if you choose the Pacers to cover the 9.5, that means they're going to be within the nine. Like they're going to score 9 points less or more than the Thunder. So if the Thunder do 100 points, then the Pacers will score 91 plus for you to get any money on that. But so the Thunder are favored. They're the heavy favorites going into the whole series. I'm sure that things may change game 3 or so. If the Pacers don't take game 1 or 2, they'll probably win game 3. That's kind of the pattern that kind of happens in the NBA. I don't really want to bet on the game because the last like 4 years that I've bet on an NBA game in the playoffs, it goes the opposite way. So maybe I should bet on the Thunder, Justin.
Yeah, that might be a good idea actually.
Should I lose money so my team can win?
Your money versus your heart.
Yeah. So I got the Pacers winning, even though my brain tells me that the Thunder are probably going to win in 6. But I'll take Indy in 7. Justin, do you have any thoughts on any of that?
Well, I'm rooting for Indy, but I'll go ahead and go with the Thunder just to be in the opposite side here.
All right.
And if I'm correct, you probably won't tell me.
The other half of the show, it's a big, big time of year for college baseball. Currently, we are in the super regionals. Justin, can you take a second and explain how college postseason baseball works?
Yeah, so the format is to begin with, they put teams in regionals. So basically, it's 4 team pods, and all of the games are at the highest seeds location. They play, the 1 versus the 4, the 3 versus 2. Winners move on to face each other the next day. Losers face each other the next day. Once you've lost 2 games in the region, you are out. And that is how that works. And then you continue on until the end, just to kind of keep that a little bit simple.
Can you give us an example?
All right. Let's go with... How would we go with our beloved Cincinnati Bearcats? Because I felt like they kind of took a nice little route here. So, Cincinnati, it was in the Tennessee Regional in Knoxville. They took on Wake Forest and just hit dinger after dinger against the Demon Deacons. So Cincinnati moved on to face Tennessee. Wake Forest went to the losers bracket against the Miami Redhawks. Wake Forest beats Miami. Cincinnati loses to Tennessee. Tennessee moves on to the championship. And then Cincinnati played Wake Forest again. Wake Forest beat them. Still at this point, Wake Forest only has 1 loss at the beginning. Cincinnati's out with 2 losses now. And then Wake Forest beat Tennessee the first time, which then led to a final on Monday night, where Tennessee then got their revenge on Wake Forest, and that's how Tennessee moved on. Pretty complicated.
Yeah, I would say but I would say it's pretty complicated, but they also have to fit in a lot more teams.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like that's, I think it's an effective way to, not let as much randomization happen in here, and get get the right team out of the region and everything like that. And I think, just make it a full tournament. So that's what they do there. Basically, I think the simplest way to put it is you're looking for 3 wins, and if you get 2 losses, you are done. But anyways, moving on to, let's go to some of the big storylines here, and that is the number 1 and 2 seed both got shocked. The number 1 seed, Vanderbilt, lost to this number 1 overall seed. Number 1 overall seed, Vanderbilt, ended up in their first game in the battle with Wright State. And Wright State almost finished the job, didn't quite get it done. And Vanderbilt moved on. They lost to Louisville, got sent to the loser's side, where Wright State managed to beat East Tennessee State and got another shot at them. This time around, Wright State took advantage of it and beat Vanderbilt. So the 4 seed in their region from the Horizon League takes down the number 1 overall seed. That was a massive shocker. And I believe it may have been the earliest an overall number 1 seed has ever been eliminated. I don't think there's ever been a time where the overall number 1 seed has not made it to their regional championship.
Well, in years past, it was like LSU and Vanderbilt and all them would just dominate. And I feel like there's been some turnover at LSU to where they don't have the number 1 overall pick talent right now. And same with Vanderbilt. I feel like they were down a little bit this year. You know who kind of surprised me, Justin?
Who?
Coastal Carolina.
Didn't surprise me.
Justin went down to Coastal Carolina and has raved about it ever since.
Yep. Oh, yeah. And obviously, if you follow us, you have seen that. But Coastal Carolina, they have a team. The main thing that travels with them is they have extremely good pitching. The guy I saw play was Jacob Morrison, who is one of the best pitchers in college baseball for sure. He's a beast. But really, this whole pitching is just deep. They have a great bullpen. It's all really good. The main thing their one weakness is maybe they're not going to get the most hits sometimes. But then they exploded for 18 runs against East Carolina. So if their bats are going to remain that hot, then watch out because Coastal Carolina is going to be dangerous. Now they got a tough one because they have to go. Their super regional is at Auburn, so they do have to go on the road. So that'll be a bit of a challenge there. But I am rooting hard for this Coastal Carolina team. Another storyline: the number 2.
Hold on. This segment is brought to you by that guy with a loud muffler outside Justin's place.
Man, I cannot believe that came through.
Yeah, it came all the way through, dude.
Wow. Anyways, the number 2 overall seed, Texas, also goes down. UTSA beat them not once, but twice to send Texas home after Texas's head coach said that winning the SEC was harder than winning in the college baseball tournament. Not quite true there, buddy. It turns out beating UTSA is harder than winning the SEC because you couldn't even do it.
Yeah, UTSA was trolling hard on Twitter.
I loved it. Yeah, so UTSA was a team that I definitely had my eye on too because they were looking pretty good throughout the year. And now they're looking, even better now. They play UCLA next, so they got a bit of a trip. But I really, really like that team. Another storyline, the Missouri Valley strikes again. A few years ago, I think 2023, Indiana State hosted the regional. They had a really good year that year. 2024, Evansville goes on a surprise run. They ended up eventually bowing out against Tennessee, who ended up winning the championship. This year, Murray State, as a number 4 seed, even though they only lost 13 games. Guys, I think you messed up your seeding there because Murray State charged through the regional and ends up winning the Ole Miss regional. So, beat Ole Miss twice in Oxford and moves on to the Supers now as a 4 seed, which was a shocker. This is the first time Murray State has made it that far. Congratulations to the Racers on that one. They will play Duke next. And I think I don't like to have a lot of conference discourse, but I mean, let's be honest here. Let's look at it. They gave the SEC 13 teams. That was probably too many. I think a lot of people who have a better understanding of the system than we do felt that the SEC kind of rigged the RPI system a little bit to get more bids and put themselves in a higher position. They seem to have done it pretty well because now you get them in the tournament against actual competition, and we're already down to a point here where 9 of the 13 teams that made it are already out.
Yeah,
and people were talking about them winning all of them.
I think there's a weird agenda among all sports that SEC is the dominant one. So, because if you look at football is going to get majority. SEC is going to get majority teams in the playoff. If you look at basketball, they got 14 teams in the tournament this past year. You look at baseball, now they're taking over that. I haven't looked into women's sports, but I can assume that it's about the same.
I mean, women's basketball, we know it's pretty bad there. Yeah, I mean, and some of it was earned. They have won, the last 4 national titles. So they have come through and played really well, but at the same time, we may need to give some of these other conferences some love here because, I mean, for example, here the ACC really did not get a ton of respect, I felt like, and now we're in a position where there are 5 ACC teams that made it to the Supers. So the ACC has most of the teams left, which I think, our friends over at Just Means Less ACC always tends to promote this kind of thing. Obviously, a very, great pun against the SEC's constant chant. And here we are, Just Means Less ACC. Also means 5 bids to the Super Regionals instead of 4.
Yeah, Cal Poly in the Big West had 2 more losses than UC Irvine and didn't make the College World Series. And the ACC threw in some junk teams. SEC.
SEC.
Threw in some junk teams. I think it's just like the SEC is just put on a pedestal, and it's like starting to get annoying because they're like Cal State Fullerton is a powerhouse in college baseball. They didn't have the greatest of year, but they're noticeably absent. Cal Poly had a really good year, noticeably absent.
Cal Poly did make the tournament.
Did they make the previous round then?
They they were in it. They were in it previously, and they came close. I think they made it to play Arizona for the regional championship and lost.
I missed that one. Okay, I missed Cal Poly on that. So they did get it. But
now we're still a conference that we are big fans of this year, the Southland, deserve more respect because yes, some upsets did wreak havoc on the conference tournament, and Houston Baptist came out of there instead of a lot of the better teams. There's Houston Baptist, I think, was about like the 6th seed in that conference tournament, but just because they came out of there doesn't mean that we should have excluded Southeastern or our much beloved UTRGV Vaqueros.
Right.
UTRGV had an RPI in the 30s, and that seemed to have gone ignored throughout this process.
Yeah, who do you think's gonna win it all?
Oh, who do I gotta go with right now? I feel like North Carolina's looking pretty good. That's a team that I really like to potentially win it all.
I mean, LSU's still out there, but we know this year they're beatable. Whereas
Yeah,
when they when
LSU
they had
LSU
Paul
barely
Skeens
escaped.
and yeah, they had Paul Skeens and what's his name from Dylan Cruz, a couple years ago when they won it all, and it was like completely unfair to put anybody else on the field. This year, they're barely escaping teams.
Yeah, they barely got by the 4 seed Little Rock in the regional. Little Rock had the lead until late in that game, and then LSU managed to barely get by.
So your pick would be North Carolina to win it.
Yep.
Um, I I'm just gonna aim real deep, and I'm just gonna say Coastal Carolina takes it this year.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, it's gonna be a good World Series to watch. If you have some time to just throw it on the background, it's gonna be good.
Yeah, for sure. I watched more baseball this weekend than I have in a long time.
Yeah. I've been following it a little bit more, but it hasn't been like on my TV. NBA Finals. I'm going away for a little bit, and there might be finals on. We'll see.
Yeah. Which, by the way, if you are not into baseball and you're looking to get into baseball, I can tell you the good news is that the college game operates at a much faster pace. So that might be something that you like if you're someone who has struggled to get into baseball.
Yeah, college is a good place to start. I grew up around baseball, so I absolutely love every aspect of it. My thing is, I feel like when you get to the College World Series, they should just use wooden bats, but I'm also old-fashioned. But yeah, I think baseball is the purest sport when you don't have a governing body ruin it all.
True that.
And if we've known anything about NCAA or MLB, is there a governing body that will ruin everything? So, well, Justin, you got anything else for NBA or college baseball?
Oh, man. I gotta let Matt get to bed. Nope, I got nothing left.
Got worn out this week.
Yeah.
Well, follow us at Updog Sports Talk on all social media. X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. You can find us on Spotify, Podbean, iHeartRadio, YouTube Music. I feel like there's another one out there. I always forget.
We always forget one or two of them.
Yeah. Obviously, we're live on YouTube on Wednesdays, but we do put out shorts daily. Hit the like, subscribe, give us some love, follow us everywhere. We're on Reddit also, but we haven't posted anything yet. So we'll catch you guys next time.